All right. Hello, boys and girls. Today, I want to talk about two different bases. Um, two very different bases, I might add. Um, one is the 2021 reissue of the 1965 Thunderbird non-reverse 4. Um, it's got two pickups, volume, tone, um, mahogany body, mahogany neck set in the body. It's not a neck through like the reverse Thunderbird. It's got a little smaller headstock, and the Gibson logo is looks like it's screen. What is that? Screen printed, whatever they call that, silk screened on the headstock instead of being on the truss rod cover. And the other bass is this falls in the Player Series. It's a made in Mexico plus top jazz bass. Um, this one is it's got the 70. I'll show it to you. It's got the 75th anniversary logo. It is a special edition, limited run. I believe it was 900 of them were made in the run. 50 of them went to Tolman's in the UK, and the rest of them went to the guitar centers around the US. Um, I got to tell you before I get into this, this one I ended up with. I wanted a another jazz bass, and I traded some guitars. I took some guitars that have been sitting in their cases that I don't play and don't really didn't really foresee using much. So I said, all right, let's thin the herd a little bit and do a trade and get something that I really want and I'll really play. I brought home originally another Player Series 75th anniversary Sunburst jazz bass with a Pau Ferro fretboard. First of all, Pau Ferro looks like crap. It's really light. It doesn't look like rosewood. It just doesn't look right to me. It gives the instrument a completely different look. And one thing that I noticed, and I'm going to pick this one up because I'm going to start with this bass. With every single one that was in the store, this was at a Guitar Center in Algonquin, Illinois. Either the bridge was not mounted in the right place on the body, or the neck wasn't mounted correctly, and the E string was sitting way inside the neck, and the G string was right at the very edge. Didn't line up with the posts on the pickups at all, and it was just really crappy. I brought the bass home, and I didn't catch that in the store. And I went and I played a gig with it, and I noticed it, and I said, you know what, I'm returning this thing because this isn't right. I can't do this. It was driving me nuts, and I figured, for the price that they charge for these basses, the Player Series is about an $800 bass. Um, there shouldn't be any quality issues, especially like that. Okay. So when I took it back, all of the other Player Series basses, both the P bass and the Jazz bass, they had I think two P basses and another Jazz bass hanging on the racks on the wall, and they all suffered from the same issue. The alignment of the neck or the bridge was wrong, and they were all skewed to the high side of the neck. And this one was hanging there, and it was pretty. It was only $25 more, and it's called a Plus Top Player Series Jazz Bass, and you can see here that. Let's see if I can get this in here. Let's see. Boom, 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 boom. Get it close enough. There we go. Made in Mexico. Fender 75th anniversary, and it has a special edition stamp on the back of the headstock there. And then on the front, it's your standard Fender Jazz Bass logo. Maple fretboard. This one was lined up, looked perfect. And played nice, and I really dug it. The pickguard I installed, it came with just a standard gloss black pickguard, and I wanted, since I had such a pretty top, let's see if we can get a look at that. There we go. There we go. Get that in the light. Doesn't that pop? It's a flame maple cap on an alder body. And I put this pickguard on it yesterday. I just wanted to, since it's such a pretty top, I just wanted to have a really nice looking pickguard that just, help the bass to pop. I'm gonna play it through. There's one other thing that I noticed with this bass. Okay, this is an $825 bass. Out the door at any of the sellers, Guitar Center, Musicians Friend, Sound, Sweetwater, American Music. The intonation was spot on, with the exception of the G string. I had to do a minor adjustment to it. And once I got it home, they always set the action a little high at the factory, and depending on where you're at in the country and what the weather's doing, the neck could be bowing back, the neck could be bowing forward, or it could be straight. This one was coming forward, so I gave the neck a twist on the truss rod and got it straight, checked it with my straight edge, and it's perfect. The fret job on this thing, the fret ends are dressed very nicely. Nothing's going to cut your hand when you run up and down the neck. And the job itself, they're all level. I was able to get a very, very light action on this. Let's see if I can get this in here. Yeah, look at that. Very nice action on the strings. Okay, I'm going to be using my I got my Ampeg V4B all tube head all fired up, tubes warmed up on top of my Ampeg SVT 410 HLN. This is my main rig when I go out and I play. So let me click it off standby. Now this is with the volume and tone all the way wide open, so this is the actual sound of the bass with its pickups. There's no blend going on right yet. Very nice sounding bass. In fact, my next gig on December 3rd, I'm probably going to bring this bass. And it's got a lot of sustain, as you just noticed. Let me grab that octave here. It stays in tune. It sustains very nicely. And it's still going. And it'll keep going until I take my fingers off. All right. Now, one thing, as with all the jazz basses, once you roll off one of the pickups, they're single coil pickups, so they're gonna buzz. All right, so I'm gonna roll off the bridge pickup, keep the tone way up. Now I'm gonna drop the tone. Now I'm gonna bring in the bridge pickup here. That was the neck pickup. Let me bring the tone up. Very articulate, very bright sounding bass. Bring that bridge pickup or neck pickup back in, and it's takes that hum away. Okay, so that's whoever's calling me is going to have to leave a message. Let's put it back on standby. All right, so that's the Fender Player Series Plus Top Jazz Bass. Very, very, very nice instrument. It's got this really nice blue burst with the flame maple top on it. It's actually this bass I'm probably going to keep for quite a while. It's just a really nice player. It's got a really nice tone to it. It's punchy, and it's just got that. It's got that signature jazz bass growl. All right, moving on to the Gibson non-reverse Thunderbird. Well, all right, get this up here. There we go. Very pretty bass. This one is an Inverness green. You can see the silk-screened Gibson logo on the headstock there. It's got hip shot tuners, set neck. It's a beautiful bass. But now, like I said, I'm not really happy with Gibson. This is a very expensive bass. I sold my old PA system and a few other things to buy this bass, and because it's a $1,800 bass is what it's marked at all the sellers. Guitar Center, Musicians Friends, Sound, American Music, Sweetwater. It's $17.99, $18.99, $1,900 bass. It started out at $17.99 and then went up. I wanted it as soon as they were released, and I missed the first run. And then the second run just came in stock in the past couple weeks, and I just bought this thing about 2 weeks ago. Like I said, I sold a bunch of stuff and I bought this bass. It's got two humbucker pickups. There seems to be some debate online as to whether it has ceramic or Alnico 5 magnets in the pickups. Somebody was saying that they're voiced like the 1965 pickups, and what I've been able to see from Gibson is that these are the same pickups that they put in the standard reversed Thunderbird. There's nothing special about the pickups other than for the first time in years and years and years and years, they have chrome covers as opposed to the black covers that they've been using for the past few decades. It's got 3 controls, volume, tone. Standard Gibson 3-point bass bridge. I don't know why they continue to use this bridge. I don't have a problem with it. Some people gripe about it. It seems to work fine. As long as the anchors stay anchored in the wood and don't start to pull out, it does good. One of the things I do like about this, Gibson, a lot of their guitars, they like to put a very sharp neck angle on it, on their guitars, and they've done it with some of their basses. I had an EBO that had a pretty sharp angle on it, and the bridge had to be raised quite a bit. I saw one guy compare it to looking like an oil rig sitting on the ocean, jacked way up. And this one has got a very shallow neck angle, so the bridge stays pretty low. It works pretty well. Two things that, one major thing that I noticed about this was, and I kept the bass because it's not that big of an issue, and I'm not going to put it in front of the camera because you won't be able to see it because it's so slight. But when they glued the rosewood fretboard onto the neck, I don't think they didn't cut the neck right or they didn't cut the fretboard right, because on the bottom here, at the top side of the neck, it's the high side of the neck, the joint where the fretboard and the neck is smooth. You cannot feel where one ends and one starts. On this side, you can, and I mean it's so minute. I don't know. Let's see if I can get it by the microphone. See if you can hear that. it catches my fingernail, but I mean, it's so slight, I'm not going to worry about it. I didn't want to send it back and then risk not being able to get another one because I wanted this Inverness green. Um, so I hung on to it. I can live with it. The other issue is setup. The factory setup sucked. Come on, Gibson, what are you doing? Okay, this shouldn't be for the price of this instrument. This problem up here should not be here. These should be a perfect joint. But okay, whatever. It's a handmade instrument. There might be some little flaws, and I can live with that. It doesn't affect the playability of the bass. It's just something I noticed. The setup, though, here's where quality control comes in. When Gibson ships out a guitar, whether it be bass or guitar, they take a picture of it sitting on the setup bench, and they send a checklist of all the things they did to it, and check everything off as good. All right, they set the action, they set the neck relief, they set the bridge height here, and they set the intonation. The intonation on this thing was way off. Okay, this made in Mexico bass that cost less than half what this cost was almost spot on. Just one string needed a minor tweak. That's it. I had to reset the intonation for all 4 strings because they were all flat. And I don't mean by a little, I mean by a lot. And because I noticed it as I played it, and when I came up the neck, the further I went up the neck, the more flat it got. And it was really noticeable. And yeah, it took me about half an hour of playing with the saddles to get each string into intonation. Because the way you set intonation is to, you set the tune, you tune all 4 strings, and then you go and play it open, and then finger it at the 12th fret, and see if it stays in tune up there. If it does not, if it goes sharp, you move the saddle back. If it goes flat, you move the saddle forward towards the neck. These were all flat, really flat. So it took several adjustments. You got to do it a little bit at a time to get each one of these strings into being perfectly intoned up and down the neck. Okay, that being said, let's fire this up. This is what this one sounds like. Quite thunderous. It also sustains very well. We'll just leave that ring there for a minute. Still going. It's got that signature Thunderbird growl, and it puts out a lot of low end. Okay, let me roll off the tone and the bridge pickup, and here's what it sounds like with just the neck pickup. Typical Gibson bass mud. Here's the bridge pickup. Little less muddy, got a little more tone to it. And we roll the tone up. Okay, and both pickups again. Okay. No issues whatsoever with the fretting. The fret job is perfect. It's really dressed really nice all the way down the neck. They're perfectly level frets. Got a very nice action on it. Um, you can finger it pretty quickly and still play aggressively. One thing I noticed about this thing that's different from all of the other Thunderbirds I've played, both the non-reverse and the reverse, this one has a really chunky neck. It's wider at the nut than the others, and it's thicker. It's more like a P bass. In fact, it might be even a little more chunky than a P bass, but I like it. I think it'll help keep the neck from moving, and you can see too where the headstock meets the neck. The headstock's pretty thick, and this whole area is really thick. So I think it'll last a lot longer. The older ones with the thinner necks and thinner headstocks, they tended to break off if it got dropped or got bumped. Sometimes the headstocks would break. If you look at a lot of the older ones, they've had headstock repairs, which is typical with all the Gibsons and their angled headstocks. The Les Pauls and the SGs are notorious for it as well. I've got one friend who he has two daughters who took turns knocking his Gibson Les Paul out of the guitar stand. I had to repair the headstock on the guitar twice, and they both did it when they were two. The oldest one did it. The first daughter did it when she was two. Knocked it out of the stand, busted the headstock off, fixed it. It lasted for a couple of years, and then the next daughter, when she became two, knocked it out of the stand and broke the headstock off in the exact same place. I had to go in there with acetone, clean all the glue out of there, and then re-glue it. And he's got it now. He's still playing it, but he doesn't keep it in a stand anymore. He keeps it in a case because he's got little kids. And they do that kind of thing. I don't let any kids up here. I don't let any animals up here, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm really careful, and I don't drink or do drugs, so I'm not stumbling around up here. Anyway, there you have it. The Gibson 2021 non-reverse Thunderbird in Inverness Green, and the Fender 2021 Plus Top Player Series Jazz Bass in Blue Burst. This one's a rare piece. Both of these are limited runs, so if you're going to get a hold of one, do it quick, because by the end of the year they're probably both going to be gone, and I don't know if they're going to rerun them or not. I don't think this one will be rerun. I don't know who knows what Gibson is going to do with anything. But I'm under the impression that these were also a limited run, and once they're gone, they're not coming back. I don't think there will be a 2022 non-reverse Thunderbird. So there you have it. Sorry for all of the talking and stuff, but there was a lot of information I wanted to share. You guys have a really nice day. Thanks for tuning in, and man, rock on. God bless. Peace.